Hi, friends, and welcome to Tuesday Tea Time with Sahdi and Omni. I'm Omni.
And I'm Sahdi.
This is our weekly podcast about spilling the tea between anything we're doing spiritual throughout the week. And for this episode, the tea that we are drinking, as we drink tea every episode, is shadow tea. And it's got cherry hibiscus, mugwort, yarrow, lavender, and basil, and honey, because mugwort is bitter. Today, Sadi's going to be talking about some shadow work. Okay, so Sahdi, you went through some serious, deep shadow work and some epiphanies. And usually when we go through stuff, we will voice clip each other immediately and share. But because we're doing this tea time and we want to share it with you guys, she made me fucking wait. So I cannot wait for her to spill the tea on this. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a week-long process for me, and I'm hoping that if I share my story with you guys, some of it will resonate and maybe help people that are going through their own shadow work right now. And so there's a few different layers to it, and I had some epiphanies about how I've been in a cycle with my shadow work. So I always compare life in general and all of our lessons to school. And you can definitely be 90 years old and still be in a third grade level in, say, relationships. But you can be astral projecting and doing spiritual things, and you can be rich and famous, but you can still be lacking grade level wise in certain subjects. And so I realized that in some subjects, I'm pretty advanced and proud of myself for. And I thought that I was pretty advanced in shadow work. And I thought that within the dynamics of my relationships that I was doing pretty fucking well. And I was humbled.
Don't you love how that happens?
And I ended up doing some shadow work because I've noticed every year between October and December, I start to have tower moments. I lose my job, or
We went through that together one time.
yeah, we actually did. Or I go through a big tower moment where I have to really take a look at my relationship that I'm in, whether it's friendships or romantic partners.
Okay.
And I've noticed that as far back as I could pretty much remember, I hated my birthdays. And I used to tell people my birthday is December 11th. And I used to tell people I hate my birthdays. I always have bad luck around my birthdays. Shit always fucking hits the fan around my birthdays, usually starting the end of October until about New Year. And then by the time New Year comes around, everything kind of goes back to normal and everything feels good in my life. And I don't know if you guys can resonate with this, but I've heard quite a few people say that a certain time of the year, they usually have bad luck, or they usually have something like repeats a cycle for them. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, with my birthday for the longest time, that's why we went to New Orleans.
Oh, that's right.
I'm done being let down, I guess, in a way, and not to sound like a big head or anything, but I'm going to make myself feel special. And
Right, because you weren't put as a priority or...
Yeah, exactly.
So if any of you guys are listening and resonating with this, I came to a realization with that. Okay, so I had a tower moment. I had to do some deep reflection, and I took a vow of silence.
That was harder for me than her just because I went a whole day without talking to her, and that's never happens.
Right, and so...
How dare you?
I had to. I just had to tune out, and I couldn't even listen to music. And music is like one of the biggest things that I do when I'm in silence. And I couldn't even listen to music. Nothing was resonating with me. And I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. I needed to be completely quiet. I needed to turn off my phone, turn off music, and just sit with myself, right? I'm asking myself these questions because you're supposed to ask your shadow questions. And I'm now realizing you can have multiple shadows. You can even have shadows that is nonverbal when you're like 2 years old. You might have these heavy emotions through your shadow, but you can't really express them.
Makes
I was
sense.
like, oh shit.
Because those shadows would throw tantrums when you have like irrational outbursts.
And then people
sometimes.
would ask, why are you doing that? You're like, I don't know. I was just fucking freaked out.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, I was asking myself these questions. Why do I continue to put myself in these situations where I know that I'm going to get hurt, but I do these things anyway? And so I ended up going back down to my 10-year-old self. I was like, okay, where did I first experience this? And when my mom and dad divorced, I was 10. And from 10 to 12, I took care of my little brother and my dad. I took over the motherly role. So my worth was directly connected to my caregiving. And so when he met a new woman, within 2 months, they got married around my birthday. So I spent my birthday, Christmas, and New Year's in a treatment center at 12 years old.
What?
Because they found weed in my room.
Oh my God.
And I stole the weed from my dad. I just think this fucking bitch she wanted to get rid of me because her son and my little brother were the same age. And here I was trying to be the woman of the house, and I was competition for her. And that's fucking
so
disgusting,
gross.
right?
Yes.
And so she's like, oh, you found weed in her room. You got to put her in a rehab.
Wild.
So I think that's where my shadow broke right there, because my role was taken away from me. And instantly I was replaced because I wasn't good enough. Because I wasn't a good enough caregiver for my dad. He ended up leaving. And then I didn't have communication with my dad again until I was 23 years old because of that. And so anyway, I'm like, oh shit, well, I thought I already dealt with this. Like, I forgave my dad. I'm cool. Like, everything's fine. But when I went down to my shadow, I was like, oh, I've been repeating that cycle in my relationships with people, not just my love relationships, but my friendships and with my kids, you know, because I was always overdoing it as their caregiver. I was like football, basketball, cheerleading. I have to be the best cook and the best mom in every fucking department, because if I didn't, I wasn't a good enough mom. And if my kids would fuck up, that was codependency at its highest, because I was like, if my kids would fuck up,
that's a reflection of you.
It was a reflection of me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a fucking horrible mom. I'm doing everything wrong, you know, or I'd get really angry or whatever, because it was like, that was my shadow self coming up. Like I said, every year around my birthday, I would have this big tower moment. I would lose a friendship, or I would lose a job, or something was going on with my kids, or it was like my worst months of the year.
It's like a karmic cycle.
Karmic cycle, right? So because I was supposed to be learning lessons and doing work and integrating my shadow and realizing that fucking shit a long time ago, the lesson kept repeating itself. And I feel like New Year's is kind of a reset for me.
Okay.
So it's like a new year, January 1st.
New you.
New me. And I know that a lot of people do that, like New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. But for me, it was when the energy started to get better for me and it was lighter.
Yeah.
So I would look forward to the new year, because I'm like, okay, I'm glad that year is over with, because it ended horribly. And so I started to realize that the universe is a very fucking patient teacher.
I thought of that
and
when
I
you said
fucking
that.
knew it. And I was like, oh, I was supposed to fucking learn my lessons. And I kept seeing 111 and 1111.
Yeah.
And I always do around this time of year. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, 1111 was like my wake-up call like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in 11th grade when it comes to my relationships. Okay. And my caregiving isn't out of love. My caregiving was birthed in toxicity.
Yeah.
It was birthed from a place of pain and control. And so I've made people be codependent on me through my caregiving so they won't leave me. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
Damn.
I really went deep into my shadow, and I figured that out, that what happens is it gets down to crunch time at the end of the year, and my spirit guides are sending me messages, and I'm getting these fucking tower moments, and everything's crashing down on me. So I'll wake the fuck up, learn the lesson so I can graduate 11th grade after 20 years.
Yeah.
And finally evolve and level up into the next stage of my existence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I went through. And I feel like I'm studying for the final exams.
So you acknowledge, you see the pattern, and then leveling up is just you breaking that pattern.
Yeah, leveling up is going down into my 10-year-old self and holding her and loving her and telling her that none of what she's believing about herself is true. It had nothing to do with her and everything to do with my father.
Yeah.
And it's accepting all of me and loving that little girl part of myself.
Yeah.
And then allowing her to integrate back into the whole of me.
Okay.
Into my wholeness, into my love, so she can be a more loving part of me.
We did an episode on shadow work, and we went pretty deep, but this is a whole nother level. I can't wait to do another one.
The next level of shadow work that we do on the Lionsgate podcast is definitely going to be more advanced.
Yeah. We went over the basics because, well, for me, I heard of shadow work, but I was kind of intimidated by it because I'm like, I don't really know how to do it. And then when we researched, I was like, there's so many easy ways to do shadow work, like every day.
Right.
But what you're doing is healing big parts of you through shadow work. So it's the bigger stuff.
Yeah. And then what I ended up coming out of that, not only am I healing my shadow, but I'm also setting fucking clear boundaries with every relationship that I have.
Yeah.
It's almost like I was afraid to say, okay, I need this from you in this relationship. So making clear boundaries, there was that broken part of me, that shadow part of myself that even though I'm a grown woman, I'm afraid to set clear boundaries with people because I don't want them to leave me.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think I'm needy, or I don't want them to think that I'm a bitch.
I think for me, deep down, I'm like, if I care about you, I don't want to hurt your feelings.
And it's also, I don't want to ask for what I truly want. And when I wrote it down on paper, what I truly needed from my relationship, I was like, damn, I've been afraid to ask that this whole time because I don't want to seem like a clingy girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't want to seem like I need that.
Right.
But I do need it. I need it to feel safe.
It's okay to be a boss ass bitch and need to feel safe at the same time.
Exactly.
They're two in the same.
Right. And then once I asked for that, and this is a non-negotiable, so then I leave it in the other person's court. Like, this not an ultimatum. It's just what I've realized that I need to feel safe and loved and secure in this relationship. And if you can't give that to me, that's okay. But I have to self-love. I have to love myself enough to ask for this. And not only ask for it, but demand it,
Set that
period,
boundary.
because that's self-love for myself, because that's what I truly need.
Yes. Yes.
And I was just like, what the fuck? That's shadow work. And I had to cut everything off. I had to be quiet. And I had to wake up in the morning and make that conscious decision that no matter what, I'm going to figure out why I keep repeating this fucking cycle. And it's almost like when you're watching a series and then there's a break in the episode and you have to go back to rewatch it to kind of catch up. Or when you're in school and you're about to take a final exam, you have to go back and study from the very beginning and then work your way up, because now there's a final test. And if I don't pass it, guess what happens? I reset on the 1st of January.
And have to do
and
it
the
all
fucking
over
universe
again.
teaches me in a different way. The universe is such a fucking patient teacher.
Yeah.
Even if you get out of one relationship, you'll jump into another one that's a different person or a different friendship or a different job. And it will be, if you didn't graduate,
Same shit.
fucking same goddamn lesson. And that's why people are like, God damn it. Like, I picked the complete opposite person from my ex and they ended up doing the same goddamn thing to me.
Been
right?
there, been
And then you're like,
there.
how did that happen? I was like, oh, because you're back in 11th grade. You didn't graduate.
Yep.
And it's so beautiful because I feel like I broke through that and I've worked through it and I processed it. And now I feel like I'm ready. I am ready to be tested to see if I pass. Looking forward to the new year. And I always feel like whenever you have a breakthrough in spirituality, it's like graduation. Everybody comes together. They buy you a new car. Your family is so proud of you. In the spirit realm, you're gifted when you level up. When you reach a new level, a new vibration, a new mindset, anything like that, you get rewarded with something fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And it's usually a surprise gift or something that you've been trying to manifest for a really long time and you've just never been able to get it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, boom,
Boom.
here you go. You
Yeah,
deserve
our
it.
friend Arlene, she was talking about last week. She's like, man, I'm manifesting without even trying. And because she's leveling up her energy. And she's like, so I need to put some intention behind this.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because I'm like not full of myself or anything, but I feel like I've evolved on so many different spiritual levels and emotional levels and things like that. I'm practicing like emotional alchemy and things like that. But it was very humbling to see myself from a perspective that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
I didn't even acknowledge it. I just thought it was a part of who I was.
Right.
You know, I'm a caregiver. I love to take care of people. I like to do this and that. And I do like that.
And that's a funny way that you put that too. Sorry not to cut you off, but you know, people like to say that negative things. That's just the way I am. You know, like I just stress out or I have OCD or like whatever.
Yeah, but mine was like caregiving.
But yeah,
right?
that's
So
what
I
I'm
wasn't
saying, but
looking at it
yours
as
is
a bad thing.
Yeah, but yours is like a positive thing. But it was
But
shadowed.
actually it wasn't. Take a good hard look at myself too and be like, okay, well that was kind of manipulating. Not really manipulating, but causing a bond of codependency. And that's what I would do with my partners and my friendships. Well, you're not going to be able to live without me.
Yeah, I feel like I do the same thing because of the way I was raised.
Yeah. And I think there's a difference between creating a healthy bond with somebody and then creating a bond where they depend on you for things.
For me, I do caregive and I do care about my partner, but I think I end up caring so much. If they're having a bad day, I rub their back and da-da-da-da, but then I start resenting them because they're not pouring back into me and it's not an even energy exchange. And then I end up feeling cold to them and they don't understand why, because I'm such a caregiver, you know, I'm a healer. If you're hurting, I want to help, but then I get drained and then I'm just like, man, fuck you. Like when I'm having a bad day, you're not there for me. You're not
And
rubbing
then you
my
kind of
back.
take that energy away from the person that loves you and has become dependent
Yep.
on the things that you do. For me, it's cooking, right? So I like to cook for my man every day. I cook him breakfast every morning, make his lunch and dinner. So when I'm upset, he can go to Burger King.
He can choke on that fucking Burger King.
You can go to fucking Burger King. I don't give a fuck. I'm not cooking you breakfast. I'm not making your sandwich. I'm not doing any of that shit.
Yeah.
So I take that energy away, and then it makes him feel worse, and then I get the attention that I want from it.
Yeah, which is not healthy.
No, it's not fucking
Yeah.
healthy. Fucking use your fucking words, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
talk it out, the fucking problem.
Right.
You don't take away something that you've been giving out of love and then take that love away. It's like the silent treatment or any of those other like toxic things.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you know I do it.
Right.
And I'm going to try my best not to anymore, because now I'm realizing that is the toxic side
Yeah.
of my love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Caregiving.
And everybody has them. It doesn't matter how healthy you are, but it's your responsibility and pleasure to work on it.
Yeah. And I'm like, why did it take me this fucking long? Tower moment after fucking tower moment, like every goddamn year around my birthday.
Yeah.
And I thought my birthday was fucking cursed. No, it's just a cycle.
I
And
resonate
it's where,
with that so much.
and what do you think about this? That where my shadow fragmented, it was when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up spending my birthday and New Year's and Christmas in a rehab for weed. I was in there for 90 days.
That's wild.
Okay.
That's so long.
It was a really nice, it was a really nice rehab though. We had fun. We got in so much trouble. I met some pretty cool kids there. I was actually worse coming out than I was going in.
That's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Teach me a lesson.
Right?
Fuck you.
I'm like, oh.
I'll teach myself a lesson for
Right.
20 years.
Yeah.
Some of us have to learn the hard way.
So it brought me to the fact that maybe the month that you have that fragmented shadow where it began, that might be where it starts in the year, and then it runs its full cycle for the year. And if you don't get it, then you have to learn your lesson all over again. It kind of repeats itself where it fragmented.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because you said for years that my birthday was never good and it was bad.
Yeah.
And I think mine was around my birthday too then.
So you had a one bad birthday and you kind of fragmented and something went down into your shadow.
I can't wait to do some shadow work with this.
Right?
We will do another shadow work episode on Lionsgate podcast with
Yeah.
Sahdi and Omni. I got some work to do before we do that. I'm excited though. I'm pumped for it. So we talked about this before, but as a server, practicing opening the third eye and stuff, where I like to guess what people are going to order. And that's just practicing your intuition. So I do that all the time when I'm serving, when I'm bartending, whatever. I always try to imagine what the person's going to order and see how many times I'm right throughout the day. Well, this week, and I've been practicing on opening my third eye, and which on Lionsgate podcast with Sahdi and Omni, we do an episode for season 1 about spirit guides and higher self. We talk about like how to open your third eye. But anyway, so I've been working at it, and I went up to this table, and this little old lady, and I was like, and what would you like to drink? And I thought she said tea. And I looked at her, I said, tea? And she looked horrified. She looked scared. And I just looked at her like, I'm sorry, did you say tea? And she goes, no, I said to drink, but I was thinking tea. That's really scary. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, I thought you said tea. And she's like, no, to drink is what I said. And I was like, maybe I misheard her. But the more I thought about it, I was like, maybe I just fucking heard her thought.
It's a really good way to test your intuition too. And
It's my favorite
Open up
way.
your lines of your energy.
Yeah. We made a joke the whole time because I was like, well, I'm psychic. Ha ha ha. And then the whole time I was like, here's another tea because I know you want one, or another napkin because I know you want it. Like we made the joke back and forth for the rest of the time.
Speaking of you becoming more open and using your third eye,
Yeah.
let's talk about what we have in the works behind the scenes.
Yes. Okay. So we're doing Tuesday tea time to give you guys a behind the scenes on what we work on weekly with ourselves. Lionsgate podcast, as we've explained, is more geared towards a subject that we hyper focus and study on. We also wanted to do a Witchy Wednesday where we would go live. Make sure you tune in. We're going to go on TikTok and we're going to go on our Instagram, and it's under Sahdi and Omni under our TikTok, and the Instagram is going to be under Lionsgate podcast. So we'll be live on both. You'll get to see us doing readings live. And I've never done readings live ever.
Right.
Sahdi does this for a living. I am learning, so it's going to be super fun. Follow along. If you're advanced or if you're just starting out, you might as well tune in and see how it goes, because she's going to be guiding me on some of this. I'm going to be giving my intuition and stuff I've learned. We did a whole episode on tarot too, and divination,
Right.
and different tricks and stuff that I learned. I was actually just explaining this to somebody the other day where I pulled a card for them, and I was like, well, yeah, because there's a cheat sheet to it. And then they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, because swords are linked to communication. So anything with a sword in it.
And you've learned a lot since then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've come so far. So I think she's ready, you guys. Like, I honestly do.
If I'm not, I'm going to get ready.
And we're going to be on live 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Lionsgate at
every
8.
Wednesday, Witchy Wednesday.
Witchy Wednesday.
And we're just going to be doing readings for you guys. So connect with us.
Yeah.
Come watch.
Ask questions.
And we won't be able to get to everybody, of course.
Yeah.
But we will try to get to as many people as we can and give you like a little mini free reading. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited. Yeah. We're going to go back and forth between questions asked on TikTok and questions asked on Instagram, so that we're being even Stevens. So just be patient on that, and we're learning too. So keep your minds open, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Namaste, bitches.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because you said I've come a long way. So I did a video for when we talked about deities like a while back on Lionsgate. Ooh. And one of the goddesses that I talked about was Hecate. And I was like, I've always been drawn to her, but I've not, we call it working with, but I feel like that's a little disrespectful.
I feel like it is too, because we're not working with them.
No,
They're
learning.
Allowing us to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I got to
I can't help it. I always say it.
Yeah.
It just comes natural.
Trying to work on
Trying to correct our lingo.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been interested in her. I've been called to her, but I hadn't worked under her yet. Mm-hmm. And it was funny listening to that, because I knew it was Hecate Day, and I was like, I should go back to the episode and make a video. And I was like, man, how times have changed, because I did a whole freaking setup. I did a setup with some offerings for Hecate, and I did readings for like 3 of my closest friends that are spiritual. And usually when I pull a card, I pull one and then I'll do maybe like a follow-up confirmation. But I pulled full spreads. And usually what I do is when I shuffle, I wait until something pops out. That's just for me when I'm doing it. But I was having 4 card spreads pop out.
Oh, she definitely speaks.
Mm-hmm.
We should definitely talk about that on another
tea time.
Yes.
Because
if anybody out there that's listening is super interested in Hecate.
Oh, yeah. Sahdi's got a lot.
I've got a lot. Mm-hmm. I've been learning from her and having her work through me for about 4 months now.
Yeah.
And it's fucking crazy, you guys. I'm not as advanced as some people are lifelong devotees to her. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's a lot that I could learn. But she has taught me so much. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to share that with you guys, just in case, there's people out there that are just getting started with her or just kind of curious about her. Yeah. And I could give what I've learned so far to you guys.
Well, yeah, because when we did that episode, I was curious. I wasn't actually working with
I hadn't worked with her at the time yet either.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I know about her, but I never felt called to her. Yeah. But I'll wait until next week to tell you guys how that happens.
Oh, yeah. We'll dive deep into that one because that's fun. Because when we did that episode, I was just curious. I hadn't actually worked with any deities at that point. I had just read up on them and stuff. And everything's changed so much. Right. I remember that was around the time we did the Bones episode, and I was kind of scared of bones. Like, it kind of grossed me out. And now I got skulls on my altar and stuff because I understand.
You got dead raccoons in your trunk? Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Jokes. You're not that far yet.
Yet.
I have a shovel in my...
Oh, my God.
I'm there. Like, I'm fucking there. And, I'm there.
She's Carol Baskin.
Right. And, oh, my God, that would be nice. Like, to find a, big animal that I could...
I thought you meant a man. Because she was accused of killing her husband. I was like, what?
I'm all innocent over here thinking, oh, the tiger. Yeah. Like, that would be cool. I don't know if I would have let this shadow work go a couple more years. Who knows who I could have turned into.
Yeah. You're not learning your fucking lessons. Just have 11th grade forever.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, we'll be right here next week.
Yeah, so tune in.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, that's all the tea for this week.
That's all the tea. We spilled it.
Yeah, so don't forget to keep your minds open and...
Namaste, bitches.